There's a lot of way we can write X's. Now, one of the cool things is that more people are printing these days, okay? Well, when it comes to X, that's almost an advantage. Because when people do a cursive X, they almost always start in the upper left-hand corner, and they come down. Whatever variation they use, they're probably going to do that, okay? Now, when they print an X, they can start anywhere. They can start at any one of these four corners, and the second stroke can start in anywhere in those four corners. They basically have 8 variations, okay? And each of those variations will tell you something about yourself. So before we continue, you want to pause the video, you want to get a piece of paper, and you want to draw an X. You want to draw an X. Okay, that's how I draw mine. And then draw little arrows the way you wrote it. Okay, and then put 1 for the first stroke, 2 for the second stroke, so you don't forget what you did. Okay, so now we have your X. So you just wrote your signature. This is your signature now. And as I mentioned, sometimes say you work in an office, or I've had people send me the weirdest things for handwriting samples, and sometimes what you'll get is a check boxes with checks with X's in them. And now that might be all you have to tell this person that they should marry this person or run away, right? So we need to study the X based on everything we've already said, but also based on where it exactly starts. Okay, now, a normal textbook X is starting on the upper left, going down to the bottom right, then coming up to the upper right, and going down to the bottom left. That's the standard normal X, okay? Gotta get on the right letter here, okay? Okay, that's someone who wants to maintain the status quo, likes the order, they like order and normalcy, okay? They'll follow the rules, but that doesn't mean they'll follow stupid rules, but they'll follow the rules that make sense. It's a good, sensible X, okay? Now, sometimes a person, and again, you want to look at which one you wrote and see if this rings true for you. They start on the lower left, they go up, then they start on the lower right, and they go up. So it's this way. Okay, this one was this way. Okay? That way, and that way. Oh, and so they start on the lower left, wait. Okay, they start on the lower right, 1, and then they go to second stroke there. Okay? Lower right and lower left. Okay? Essentially, it's completely reversed. Usually you start here and go this way, it's reversed. That's a person who is stuck in the past. No matter how much they want to move forward, they can't get away from the past. And so you can do this little quiz. You can just tell someone, draw an X. And then you can see which of these 8 possibilities they fit. Okay. Now, if it goes from lower left, so it goes this way with the first stroke, and then it goes to, it starts at the lower right. So they both start at the bottom, but the first one is lower left and the second one is lower right. Okay? This is a person who wants to escape their past, who wants to get away from their past. They're not stuck from it, they're running from it. Okay? And they probably don't want to talk about it. This is always a fun one. And that's when they start on the upper right. They start this way with stroke number 1. And then they start on the lower, and the second stroke is on the lower right. Okay? So, this is both strokes starting on the right, first stroke on top, second stroke on bottom. That's a rebel without a cause. That's the person who always has to do what's different. Okay? Now, if it starts on, let me try to fit down here. It starts on lower right, So it comes up from here, first stroke. And then the second stroke is upper right, goes that way, second stroke. So the second stroke is normal, but the first stroke is in reverse. Okay, reverse of normal. And that's a person who, because of the second stroke being normal, is focused on what they can do to make a better future, but they're doing it in face of a looming past. So this first stroke is going back to the past, and so there's this looming past that's overshadowing some of their actions, but they are making the effort to move forward. Okay? Then we have this one over here, which was mine that I did, where we start on the upper left, we go down, and then we come up to the upper right and go, oh, then no, that's the normal one. I wouldn't ever do that one, gosh. Okay, we start on the upper left and go down, and then we start on the left and go forward. So both strokes start on the left, but the first stroke is normal, okay? This is a person who's independent and lives by his own rules, okay, and his own Ayanamsha, I've been told. Okay, a fun one is when you get someone who starts on the lower left. Okay, I hope that's still visible. Start on the lower left, goes up, and then they start, that's the first stroke. Gosh, pens are dying today. Lower left, and then they start, and then they go to the upper left. Okay, for the second stroke. That's a trendsetter. So that's the person you want to fashion your wardrobe. Okay, that's a trendsetter. That's someone who's going to discover the latest, next, greatest, cool trend. Okay, or set it. Okay, create it. And then the final one is you get upper right going this way for the first stroke, and then we go to upper left for the second stroke. Okay, so they're both on the top. That's a creative person, an innovative thinker, someone who can think outside the box, find new solutions, unique solutions to problems. Okay, these two are very nice. These two are not very common. Okay, they're probably the less common ones. All right, so when you watch somebody write, you can see how they're doing this very easily. When you're not, you have to study the error strokes. You have to see where the ink pressure gets lighter as the stroke finishes, and so on, to try to guess what direction they wrote. Usually you can tell. You usually have to get the writing big so you can really see it. Magnifying glass helps a lot for those kinds of things. Handwriting experts always have a magnifying glass with them to see these subtle things when they need to find out which direction a stroke was written. Remember, on T's, strokes can go backwards too. Okay? So from the X, we can basically get a base of their personality. What kind of person are they? They're stuck in the past. Are they escaping their past? Are they a rebel? Do they always have to go against the grain? Okay? Are they independent? And they're just going to do things the way they think, regardless of what others think. Okay? Are they trendsetters? Are they creative? Or are they maintaining that status quo based on what they have found working, and so it works, let's keep it. Okay? And when you look at X's and checks boxes, you can look at that as well. You can look at the simple way they're drawing their X. And just for fun, you can go to your friend or whoever and say, hey, draw an X. And then you can see, oh, you're this kind of person. Or if you meet someone, you take them out to dinner, you grab a napkin, you grab some lipstick, and you say, hey, draw an X. And you have them draw an X. And then you can interpret, so you'll learn one little thing about them. Okay? And have fun. Those little games are always fun. Okay? Maybe at the end of this course, I'll teach you this really fun Zen game. That's really cool. Okay. Now, in cursive, it's possible for these variations to happen. If you see them in cursive, this straight is going to be really strong, those 8 variations I mentioned. Usually in cursive, you know, they're always going to start the stroke normal, but they could go this way or this way to finish the second stroke. So in cursive, we basically are going to encounter generally 2 types. Okay? that's when they are starting on the, they start on the upper right and go down, okay? If it starts on the, actually, okay. If it starts on the upper right, so say they do an X, they do their base X, and it starts up here and goes this way. This is a person who's trying to make the things they have work and be better. So they're working what they have, okay? If the stroke goes this way, they're working for something new or towards something new, or they want to do something new. So they're working with the new, because it's a new that will make things better. So it's two attitudes. Something new will make things better. Making the most of this is what will make it better. So, like for me with the ayanamshas, okay, I need a new ayanamsha to make the dashas work better. Lots of other people, because I write my X's that way, a lot of other people are like, I trust this ayanamsha and I'm going to work this ayanamsha and get the most I can out of it, okay? Neither way is going to necessarily make a better astrologer. It's just two attitudes. I want something new to make something work better, or I want to work what is there. Okay, it's two possibilities of improvement, right? You can fix your old car, or you could get a new car, okay? All right, so it's that kind of idea. Now, sometimes they have these, I found out recently that every culture is not taught to write an X like this, like in America, okay? In India, they're taught to write an X like this, okay? So it's kind of like this crescent shape, and then a crossbar, and then another crescent shape, okay? So we still have a crossbar. The crossbar will have a certain pressure. The crossbar will have a certain curve to it, and it'll have a certain pressure, it'll have a certain length, so you can look at the length and pressure of that crossing part, because there's a line here that crosses all the way through, right? You can study that, and based on the same principles. If it's heavier and darker, the person's trying hard. If it's faint and light, they're not trying hard. And so it's a way to write an X without picking up the pencil. People who write that X that way, of course, they're going to be, it's a very connective stroke, right? It's more of a connective stroke than this, right? And it doesn't matter how you learn to write, in the end, you're going to write a certain way, right? You're going to write your own natural way. So this is showing a person who's going to is going to be intelligent. You know, when they do things, their intelligence is going to kick in. They're going to make the connections. It's I think a healthy way to make an X that shows a really high functioning mind. That when they try things, their mind starts making the connections to figure out, what can I try? Their mind instantly knows what to try, and they can progress and solve little things very quickly. Okay, the X has a lot to do with trying and making effort. Okay, as does everything in the middle zone. How are we making an effort? And the X is so much of how we do that. So when somebody has this kind of X where it's a very connective X without lifting the paper, then of course connective writing always means you know, fluidity of thought, and you know, connecting. They're connecting thoughts, they're connecting things, and oh yeah, connecting the dots. And so they can pick up things very quickly, because if they're told dot 1, dot 3, and dot 5, they can instantly fill in dot 2 and 4. Another person might have dot 1, dot 3, and dot 5, and it could take them a long time to figure out where number 2 is. So say we're trying to draw something. I'll illustrate it. Say we have dot 1, dot 2, dot 3, okay? And we know there's more to it, okay? Well, this person will go, and instantly their mind will know to add 2 dots up here to make a star, okay? If a person has that connective mind. And again, connective strokes indicate that kind of mind, okay? Another person might take them a longer time to figure out that there's 2 dots here, and we can connect the strokes like this, right? Into a star, okay? So it's showing a highly connective mind if they do that. And the person who does this, they have a very highly connective mind, and oftentimes I see them connect the dots in something So I'll be working on something, they'll just show up and they'll connect the dots in a minute and help me out with that. So I think that's a good way to write in X. Fluid writing is always, showing a sign of intelligence, right? Okay,